So let's do this and let's see how we go. So evening, everybody. It is Friday, the 9th of December. Christmas is coming ever closer, as is the end of the challenge. And I've got another special guest, a very esteemed guest as well. I'm very, very lucky to be joined by Andy Flatt, who is known otherwise as the Amateur Drammer. So say hello, Andy.
Evening, Ben. Evening, everyone.
There we go.
It's my YouTube debut tonight. So
right.
Usually prefer to stay behind the pen rather than in front of the camera.
And I've
so looking forward to it.
Thanks, man. I've managed to coerce you out in front of the camera, and you're putting me to shame, mate, because you are looking extremely dapper.
Oh,
and I'm in the old work clothes and feeling like an absolute mess. So tonight we have got Spey, or the Speyside Distillery, and you have actually been here in person, I believe.
Yes, I've had the pleasure of being shown around by the distillery manager, Sandy Jameson, who's a fantastic chap. If you get the chance to interact with him at all, do it. But no, a beautiful distillery, quite hard to find. Once you're there, it's lovely. Inside, it's very much a whiskey factory. It's all, very, very functional. But on the outside, there's a lovely wee bum running through it. It's all old buildings. Just a lovely place just to enjoy a dram,
Okay, that probably leads us quite nicely into the history of it then in that case, because reading up about it, I'd come across the Speyside Distillery when I was working at the whisky shop in its earlier incarnation, when there was a non-age statement version called Dram A, which is, I think it's a village nearby the distillery itself.
I think it's the closest village, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a non-age statement whiskey that we were selling for about £18 a bottle, and it was one of the worst whiskies I've ever had. And it wasn't a great advert for the Speyside Distillery itself. Now, it turns out that there was actually an original distillery back in 1895 near Kingussie, and it was 1895. It closed down in 1905 and was demolished in 1911. So that's sort of the original distillery itself, but the modern incantation of it originally opened in 1990, but it took about 2 decades for the distillery to actually be built. It's apparently a guy called George Christie, who used to be a submarine captain and had a long-term dream to own his own distillery, and took some land that was the site of an old mill called the Tromy Mills, and he hired a guy called Alex Fairley, who was built dry stone walls, one of these very traditional builders, who built the distillery apparently by hand, and that's why it took 20 years for it to actually be built. And they started production on apparently the 3rd of December 1990. So he had his distillery, and Dram A was one of the first. It was pretty much like a 3-year-old It's a Whiskey, Get It Out. They also did Kudu, which was pretty much a copy of Lochdu, and from what I never had it, but from what I gather, just as bad as Lochdu. You ever come across Kudu, Andy?
Kudu, I've come across it, never actually tried it.
Ah, right.
Never actually tried it. I believe that when the distillery changed hands, what happened was they were still getting inquiries about Lochdu.
Yeah.
So they've gone on to make their own version of it, which is where Bendu comes from, I believe.
I see. Yeah, because there's Bendu now as well, which I have had in the challenge, and was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, fortunately. So in 2000, a private investment group bought the distillery, but that actually included George Christie's son, Ricky. And then in 2013, it was taken over by another company called Harvey's of Edinburgh, which I've never heard of before, but apparently is very big in Taiwan. And they've relaunched the Speyside Distillery range, and it's now Spey, as we have here. And it's apparently very, very big in Taiwan and the Far East, and not that easy to find over here.
I believe most of their sales are in the Far East, which will explain the bizarre choice of Michael Owen as a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
It gives it that sort of... I think it's totally catering for that market. And going back to Harvey's of Edinburgh, I believe they're the same people, Harvey's Bristol Cream Sherry.
Oh, is that Harvey's? I did wonder.
I'm pretty sure it's that Harvey's. I'm pretty sure it's that Harvey's.
Interesting. Right, okay. Because it's... now, where did I come across Harvey's Bristol Cream? Harvey's Bristol Cream was the company... So it must be Harvey's that have put the sherry that's in the Alberta Dark Batch. there was the Canadian whiskey that had some bourbon and sherry in it, and it was actual sherry from Harvey's. So they're certainly getting around in that case. So they've relaunched Speyside. They called it Spey. I was looking at the official website and looking at their blurb about the distillery in Harvey's, and they really give the impression that this distillery has been going for a lot longer than 1990, like way back in the 1800s. So it's quite a clever bit of marketing that they're using, and some of the sentences do make for interesting reading.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I think it's a newer distillery built on an older site. You know, I think that it's a historical site in its way, but the distillery itself is still reasonably young. Yeah,
and they can use that to make it sound older than it actually necessarily is, and give it a lot more history and provenance than may necessarily be there. But from what I gather, these new versions of Spey are a lot better than the previous versions, which weren't being reviewed and considered particularly well. Dram A, the old Speyside, when it became an aged version, they weren't particularly well regarded. So hopefully it looks like you've got the same bottle that I have, which is the 12-year-old.
Yep, 12-year-old.
Okay, so I originally put on the list Spey. I think is it 10A, Tenne with the accent.
The port finish one. Yeah.
Yes, so that seems to be, you can get that a bit more over here. And that's almost their entry level, because it's a non-age statement. It's about 35 quid. This particular bottle, the bottle I've got, is a 20 cl bottle that was very kindly donated by a guy called Mike Fisher, who's actually a representative of Gordon MacPhail, who I'd met and had this in the boot of his car. So Mike, if you're watching, thank you very much for this. You'd look in, well, Master of Malt and Whisky Exchange are out of stock, but I found this at Green Welly stock for 45 quid, and whiskies.co.uk, which is actually up the road from me, just outside York, we're selling this for 50. But again, it sounds like this is predominantly Taiwan, Far East, and it's not that easy to find over here. Where did you get yours from? Because that's a 70 cl bottle.
Yeah, well, full disclosure, I got mine from the distillery.
Oh, so, fair enough.
From there, but I've had this bottle for a while now. It's been open for about a year. It's about half empty, so it'll be interesting to go back. I've previously reviewed it for the website, so it'll be good to go back and see if it's changed as it's been open for a bit longer.
Sure, all right.
But again, yeah, I'd seen it online, I think, for about £39 on various retail sites.
Yeah, okay.
But no, going back to the Tenny. After trying the Tenny, that's quite an interesting expression as well. Finished in port for 6 months.
Yeah, because it's
at the end.
It's Tawny port as well, isn't it?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a very interesting dram.
Yeah, I'd read a couple of places were saying Tawny port, which is a little bit more unusual for any kind of port finish, because obviously Tawny's can be slightly drier. So yeah, I'd be interested to try and pick it up. Right. You look like you've got quite a healthy dram, so I'm going to pour my 25 ml. Now, I'm a little bit concerned because my laptop has lost connection, but when I checked last time, it carried on recording on the two of us. So let's plow on and let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, yep, so we might have lost everything, in which case I'll probably just cut into it and just go, this is what it tasted like. But if it carries on recording, we might be sorted. So fingers crossed. I've had one so far. This is my fourth, and the first one was the one that went absolutely plain sailing, no issues whatsoever, all technology fantastic, and it's just gone downhill from there. So we'll see how it goes. So
well, at least I'm not going to be the last one.
I hope not. So now yours looks a bit darker than mine. It has to be said. I don't know whether it's just the...
I'm not too sure if it's just the light here or what, but it does seem to be darker than I remember it.
Yeah, and what's your opinion in terms of whether colouring's been added? Would you assume that it has done?
I don't think it has. It's got no colouring added stated on the bottle.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
I don't know if this is an earlier one or a later one, but no colouring added, I believe.
Right, which is good. That's a good start. Anyway, right. So
it's just come up that you've left the chat.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it just flagged up that you've a Dram A has left the chat.
Right. Well, that would be my laptop. So fingers crossed, we're still going. It's still showing us live in my iPad. So
Yeah, I've got the little yellow box, so press on.
We're flying blind. Let's crack on before we lose that as well. Oh God, I hate technology. I love technology, but I hate it at times. So, what are you getting on the nose?
The nose for me is quite sort of cereal based, very, very lemony as well, with a slight tinge of maybe pepper on the end, but it's very, very citrusy.
Very much so.
Light woody sort of notes just underneath, but predominantly we're just talking the sort of cereal, but quite a sweet cereal.
Yeah, it's kind of Cheerios, isn't it? But it's Cheerios.
Sort of
yeah. Oh, yeah. But with that kind of lemony tinge, and it's not. It's close to, but it's not quite like an artificial lemon. It's actually quite a pure, definite kind of lemon juice, lemon zest. Yeah, it's unusual. It's quite surprising actually, just how citrusy that is. It's a very good combination, though.
Have you tried any of these before?
This is the first time I've ever had one of these ones. Like I say, I've had the Dram A, which put me off, to be honest. I think I did have the old Speyside style, because it was the Speyside, and I think it was a 10-year-old, and it wasn't particularly fantastic. But this is the first one of this new range that I've had, so my hopes weren't up, to be honest, but I'm wanting to give this a chance. And so far on the nose, I'm impressed, actually. I'm really liking this nose.
It does have a very fresh, clean sort of feeling to it.
And actually, it carries through on the palate as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those whiskies where the nose leads very closely into the palate, which leads very closely into the finish. Sometimes it's nice to have no surprises in a whiskey. It's just sort of quite an easy drinker. You know, you're not going to find depth in here. I mean, you can analyse it and look for depth, but if you're just looking for a sort of easy drinker, you know, just to come in, but it very much follows on. There's nothing surprising about the relationship between the three stages of the whiskey, I'd say.
It is. It's not there's nothing that's kind of mind-blowing, but what is there is actually very solid, very, very dependable, very consistent. And as you say, the flavour profile goes all the way through. The citrus is there, the cereal's there. There's almost like Cheerios and milk, as well as the lemon. The lemon becomes softer as well, so you'd sort of think lemon and cereal shouldn't really go, but they actually work really well.
It kind of does. It's like a sort of a top note. You've got a sort of base note of the sort of honey nut loops, if you will, going all the way through, and then it's got this sort of slightly less dominant but pervasive sort of lemon note going through the top.
I'm really impressed with this. I am very, very pleasantly surprised.
It's a very, very good drinking whiskey.
Absolutely.
Very, very good drinking whiskey. There's nothing. It's, when I use the word inoffensive, that's not in a bad way.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mean characterless. I just kind of mean, you could probably have a few people drink that and nobody would be, I don't like that. It would be a sort of a group whiskey.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you're not going to have much disagreement about it.
No.
Maybe people who, if you're looking for something with depth, this maybe isn't for you. But as a nice example of a kind of Speyside style, good base, not too complicated, in a good way. Yeah, there's a lot to consider when. Definitely.
I think it's a nice bottle. I think if you were looking for presents, this would be really good as well.
On a point with the bottles, I believe that the bottles are made by a French company that specialise in perfume bottles.
I can see that.
So I don't know how they grade glass, but there is something that's a high quality glass made in a perfume bottle.
Yep, I can see that. The only issue I have with it, and I think it's probably better at the 70, is this is. And it says we're live. So. And I've got that, and I think we're up and running. So, unfortunately, we lost connection, and I'm hoping that we carried on long enough, and then it appeared to cut out automatically. But you missed some absolutely stonking, solid gold conversation between the two of us, and it's gone. It's disappeared in the ether. We've solved world.
It'll always be a mystery.
I know we've solved world hunger. We've conquered politics. Everybody will be happy, and world peace will be achieved. And it's gone. Sorry, people.
Forever lost.
But I think we both established that actually Spey is. I personally extremely surprised by this. I had very, very low expectations because of my history with it, because of the I think because of the packaging and the price and Michael Owen, and I really wasn't expecting that much, but I'm very, very pleasantly surprised by this.
Yeah, it's just a very, very pleasant whiskey.
It is. It is. I think
it's not complex, but what it does well. It's just got some nice, solid flavours. It's a nice, solid malt.
Yep. As you say, if you've got a group of you that are all whiskey drinkers and you put that in the middle of the table, I don't think anyone is necessarily going to complain at all, unless they're a hardcore Isla drinker or something like that. But you're going to have no complaints.
This is about as magnolia as it gets, you know.
It is, yeah.
It's just, and again, that's not an offensive thing.
No.
You know, I'm not. It's not a bad thing, but it's just right down the middle, and it's like a sort of an average.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that it's going to suit most people, but not everybody. You know, if you're looking for something cask strength and peated or sherried or anything, this is not an outlier. This is sort of right in the middle. You know, this
is as pretty much as mainstream as it gets, and as you say, that's not a bad thing. That's actually they've done a good job at creating an eminently drinkable whiskey that doesn't have anything untoward about it, that's got nothing offensive whatsoever, and therefore will probably attract as many whiskey drinkers as they can. I wonder if it's slightly overpriced, but I think that's probably because of, as we've had a discussion, the fact that a lot of it is sent overseas. So there's not a lot of it in the UK available at all.
I'd say that the pricing is either a supply and demand issue or it's a branding, marketing issue.
Yeah.
They've put it that little bit higher.
Yeah.
And to sort of raise it.
Yeah, and it's just whether, as you say, for 45, 50 quid, there's a lot of competition, which arguably has more to it. In that price. Yeah. Having said that, the 10A or 10 or whatever, the non-age statement Tawny Port, that was on Amazon at 36 quid. And I argue that's definitely a much better price point. If the 12 was anywhere sort of 35 to 40, I think arguably that's a really good price for it. So you were saying that there's a couple of other no-age statements that seem to be coming out. There's a bourbon cask or something like that.
Done. They're both Latin names, Fumare and Tretina.
Mm-hmm.
One's a very, very lightly peated one. I think it's their first ever peated expression, and the other one's just sort of a bourbon cask one. Again, both nice whiskies, you know. And I think as examples of no age and what they could be is trying something different.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what the no age is for.
Yeah, and being a no-age statement means that they've got more stock of it available, which means that potentially they can put more into the UK market and actually start to grow it as a brand in here. So I think, it's definitely a brand worth looking out for. You said the 18 was very good, and I'm tempted now because by the sounds of it, it's got enough to it that it's actually lasted 18 and it's well worth digging out. So
as I said with the 18, the difference between the 12 and the no age, there's not a massive difference with them. I mean, I know we talked about it earlier, but we'll just go over it just in case it has been lost. But the jump between the 12 and the 18, I thought was more than its years. You know, the 18 was a very, very solid dram. Again, talking about the alcohol level, I think the ABV was on the lower side. So again, it's quite a sort of approachable, easy drinker type of dram.
Yeah.
But I do remember it. The flavours it did have were managed well, were balanced well.
Yeah.
And again, it's just another example of a good drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I would imagine opening a bottle with a few friends, it would not last long. It's just it's a session whiskey.
Absolutely. My dog's getting a buzz. Oi! Shut up. He's dreaming. He's chasing something and he's barking at it. Oi! Be quiet, you. I'm well done, Spey. You have very much surprised me, and really, really impressed with that. So, Andy, thank you very much for joining me.
Not a problem.
It was a few technical issues, but that seems to be the theme of me doing these joint tastings. So I've not.
Yeah, without them, I don't think.
Well, obviously, it's what makes it. So I've not. I still haven't done the announcement video of the finale gala. So I'll mention it briefly now because Andy, if you could make it, it would be absolutely fantastic. But I'm not sure if you can. 21st of January in York at the Principal Hotel, which is a Saturday. It's the Saturday before the challenge is supposed to finish, which is Tuesday, the 24th. I'll be doing the final 3 drams, which at the moment look as though it's going to be Bruichladdich Classic, Lafroig 10 and Ardbeg 10. I knew I was going to finish on Ardbeg. That's definitely the last one. Hoping to have an auction of some rare stuff. I have apparently a signed copy of the Whisky by A.a. McDonald that Ian Buxton worked on. He's signed a copy. Yeah, so he sent me a copy, so that's on its way there. So that'll be one thing. And I've got a couple of bottles on the way from a few people that have donated. I don't think I've managed to get the Macallan M from Whisky Santa at Master of Malt at $3.5 grand, but it was worth a shot.
It is Christmas. Dreams do come.
You never know. You never know. But yeah, so I'll do a separate video. But yes, that is on the cards for January 21st. So if you, I'm pretty certain that everybody that's watching this, it has already come across you in one form or another as the Amateur Drammer. So do you just want to kind of mention what your various outlets are where people can get hold of you?
Sure, I'm not hard to find. You can find me at amateurdrammer.com. I'm at Amateur Drammer on Facebook, Instagram, and I spend most of my time on Twitter, to be fair. So if anybody wants to get in touch, feel free.
Excellent. And soon to be appearing in more YouTube videos, yeah?
Well, we'll see how this one goes down first, and then we'll take it from there. I think I'm better off behind the pen than
I wouldn't base it on this video, mate. After all the technical stuff, it's I might try another one. So yes, fantastic, Andy. Thank you very much for that. Apologies for the break in it, but I think we managed to get there in the end and get everything covered off. I'm quite glad that I've got a bigger bottle of this now, because this is something to look forward to once the challenge is finished, because I think I'm going to make my way through that fairly quickly. And
you'll find it will disappear very, very quickly. Yeah.
I can imagine, definitely. So yes, Andy, thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Not a problem.
And I will stop the broadcast, and hopefully it will be watchable when I download it. So thank you, everybody. Cheers, and I shall see you in the next one. Let's find out where my mouse has gone, and stop.